We are given a directed graph with the n nodes labeled from 0 to n minus 1, where each node has exactly one outgoing edge. So what's that mean? For example, let's take the example 1. We have a graph with the 8 nodes starting from 0 to 7, and each node, so what these numbers shows, right? This number shows where each node is pointing, right? So for example, let's say that the 1 here, so which means that the node 0 is pointing to 1, so it has one outgoing edge that goes to 1. For the node 1, it points to the 0, 2 is pointing to 0. Each one of them has only one outgoing edge, right? 1 is pointing to 0, 2 is pointing to 0, and so on. 5 is pointing to 7, 6 is pointing to 7th node, and so on. So what we need to do in our case, we need to return the maximum edge score. So what's the edge score? Edge score is the sum of the all indices that point to this node. So for example, for node 0, right, how many nodes are pointing to the node 0? For the node 0, four nodes are pointing to the node 0, and the sum of the indices gives us 10. So for the 1, how many nodes are pointing to 1? 0, and the sum of the 0 gives us just a 0. For 5 is just 1, 7 points to 5, 7 points to 5, and the sum is 7. And for the 7, we have how many pointing to 7? For the 7, we have 2 pointing to 7, right? 5 and 6, and sum gives us 11. So in this case, the highest score is 11, and we are returning 11 as an answer here. So 7 as an answer because 11 the highest score. So we need to return the index, and the index in our case is 7. So let's take one more example. In this case, right, we have 4 nodes starting from 0 to 3, and for the 0 we have 2 nodes pointing to that, which is then the sum of that is 1 plus 2 gives us 3. For the 2 we have again 2 nodes that are pointing to that, and the sum of it gives us 0 plus 3 gives us 3 right here. So in this case, the both has the score of 3. In that case, what we need to do is we need to choose the smallest index. So in this case, we need to return our answer will be 0. So our solution is pretty straightforward. What we do is we are creating one more array with the same size as our input array, and where we are going to count the edge scores, right? So we are creating long array to calculate the edge scores. And the first thing that what we do, we are going to over our edges, and we are for the if let's say that let's say 0, right? If that points to 0, then in that case we are just adding which index points to the 0. Let's say that the first index, second index, and third index pointing to 0. So we are just adding the sum of all the indexes that are pointing to 0 and that are pointing to 1, 2, and so on. So after we have edge scores, what we have here, right? So the next step is we are finding that our node that we need to return. So for that, we are maintaining two variable, max score and the node, and we are going over our scores. And now what we do, we are checking that if the score is more than our max score, then in that case we are updating our max score, and we are setting the new node that we need to return, right? In this case, it will be return us in case if it's equals, it will return us the smallest node because we are starting from the 0. Let's say that the 0 and the 5 has the same score, right? So in this case, we are going to assign to node 0, but in case of the 5, we will skip because we are only considering cases if the score is more than the maximum score, right? Not equal. So in that case, we are going to pick the index if the scores are equal for 2 nodes, and we are returning the result here.